All right, welcome back to Speak for Yourself from the Crib. Jason Whitlock, Marcellus Wiley. Time now to move out to LeVar Arrington's crib. He's going to join Speak for Yourself from the Crib, presented by Hyundai. LeVar, welcome. Hey, man, yesterday I was explaining to you and Marcellus, I believe, that some men run their house and some men run around their house. And one of your kids, LeVar, actually emailed me a photo of you at home, and it's a prime example of you, of what I was talking about some guys running their house. It's the Nittany Lion King. Do we have the, we have the photo of the Nittany Lion King, LeVar Arrington here.
I look amazing.
Have y'all seen the Tiger King? This is the Nittany Lion King.
Mr. Whitlock, why are you hating Mr. Ronald Isley face with the between the sheets leather jacket on? Mr. I haven't taken a shower, so I'm going to wear the same shirt 2 shows in a row, face. I'm on it. I ain't even going to say no more. You know why? Because he probably has armpit hairs full of dreadlocks that need to be combed out and handled like the old school man that he is. I'm on it.
That is true.
I'm glad you got him, man. Good. That was good.
I'm on it.
All right. Let's move on to Lamar Jackson, who some are offering up. I think SI offered the opinion that Lamar Jackson should be the favorite to win the MVP again next season and go back-to-back. All right, Marcellus, I know this is your guy, so you probably agree with this. You see Lamar Jackson as the favorite to be MVP again next year?
No. And I'm the biggest Lamar Jackson fan in the world. Oh, reading through this, man, this was tough to read through because of the calculations, the arithmetic that they were using to come up with the conclusion that Lamar Jackson will be the back-to-back MVP. I'm not buying that. So basically, in summation, would you take Lamar Jackson to win the MVP again, or would you take the field? Obviously, you would take the field because we know how these stories are collected and finally taken into account. When you're talking about the MVP, it's not just who's the best player. Because if it was just like that in the NBA, we wouldn't be talking about LeBron right now. We'd be talking about Giannis, who is actually playing better than he did last year when he won the MVP. But what starts to happen when you talk about MVP? Storylines. Oh, all these journalists and reporters start talking about, oh, this guy is great in the community. Oh, this guy is tremendous in the locker room. Oh, he's been passed up before. It's his turn. So somebody's going to go out there and write a story that whoever donates the most to COVID-19 and has a couple of good plays is going to be in the MVP race against Lamar Jackson. And trust me, he's going to make some noise. It's just a weird world where it's not just about how good you are that gets you that trophy. So I don't think he's going to get it, despite balling again next year.
Interesting. Yeah, listen, I think it's going to be Patrick Mahomes that ends up being the guy that everybody is talking about. I think the hype machine is totally behind Pat Mahomes. After coming out of a improbable win in the Super Bowl, the way he played to pull it out, he got the last MVP award of the season, getting Super Bowl MVP. Everybody's going to be on the Kansas City. Can they repeat Super Bowl appearances and wins again? Patrick Mahomes has the hype machine in a way where all he has to do is play Patrick Mahomes football, not above and beyond, but just his way of playing football, and he should be the guy that's in the driver's seat to actually get that crown once again.
I disagree with both of you all. Listen, I think Lamar is a logical choice to repeat as MVP for the simple fact that the whole offseason appears to be getting wiped out. And so I think the opportunity for teams to really sit down and address how they're going to deal with Baltimore's very unique offense that we saw the entire NFL basically struggle with during last year's regular season, they're not going to have the normal level of preparation in trying to decode that offense and try to deal with that offense. And I think that passing games are going to suffer the most by this disjointed offseason we're having. And so here comes Lamar Jackson again, that very physical running offense that they have in Baltimore. I think it's going to be one of the few offenses that hit the ground running at the beginning of the season. And I think the narrative early, the first 6-8 weeks of the season is like, damn, Lamar's doing it again. And once he gets that narrative rolling, I think it's going to be downhill. I do like Lamar Jackson as the favorite here because I just don't see a lot of teams having the necessary prep time to decode this offense that no one could figure out all of last season.
I disagree again. Let me tell you this. Lamar Jackson's going to ball out next year. Lamar Jackson may even put up better numbers. Won't win the MVP. But to come back at what you just said in terms of the offseason and how it's disjointed right now, won't give you the proper time to prepare, I wholly disagree with that. Because to change the concepts and the philosophies that are necessary to beat Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, what we saw the Tennessee Titans be able to do that doesn't take manpower on the field. It takes brain power in the meeting room. It takes you to be behind your computer. It takes you to be on the whiteboard. And these are things that you can do probably even more so right now because of all of us now quarantining because of coronavirus. So this is a time where you got to apply between the ears more so than ever. And the only way you're going to stop Lamar Jackson is not physically finding guys who are capable of doing that athletically, is to come up with a scheme. And you can do that scheme even in the quiet of, schematically in your home or at the office.
Mic drop. I'm good with that.
Hold on. Marcellus, let me remind you, remember when that playoff game LeVar was coaching in where he was telling us about his scheme he had drawn up and it was going to shut down this team and blah, and it didn't work?
Don't do it.
What was the score, like 35-7 or something like that?
Maybe worse than that.
Yeah.
I don't collective memory.
Yeah, you're not going to scheme up with, again, because I'm going to tell you what a scheme has to have.
The scheme was perfect.
Let me tell you what scheme has to have. It has to have instinctive recall by the players. And so, again, coach can draw up all he wants. But if he has a short window to explain that and get that to the players to where they're not having to think on the field, they're just reacting. I think Lamar Jackson and that offense hit the 2020 season on a roll. I think he's even more unstoppable in the running game, and I think he's going to even be improved as a passer because, again, we've already seen it. And I can't say he's working harder than everybody else because there's a lot of guys that work really hard in the NFL. But I think coming off of back-to-back playoff disappointments, nobody more motivated than Lamar Jackson to get that monkey off his back. Again, will he win the MVP? Who knows? There'll be a lot. But I don't mind him being the favorite. I kind of agree with it. All right, let's move to the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick. Our friend here at the FS1, Colin Cowherd and Bill Simmons, sparked a rumor that the Patriots might consider trading Julian Edelman. It's been shot down by Tom Curran that covers the team very closely. And then we've had the Bills general manager say, look, the Patriots are still the team to beat in the AFC East. Anyway, the fact of whether the Patriots would deal Julian Edelman, it leads to a question of, in Bill Belichick's mind, is he in rebuilding mode or is he in reload mode? Marcellus, what say you? Bill Belichick, what's he think? Rebuild or reload?
Okay, I reloaded. Boy, Belichick's about to come get these boys. They are in trouble. You heard the Buffalo Bills and the general manager up there saying, until we beat the Patriots, we haven't done anything yet. And that's going to be the daunting task still, to beat the Patriots. Here's where the Patriots are in terms of mindset. Their confidence is a lot higher than I think is being advertised about the Patriots, because your confidence is just this balancing act between what you believe and what you have achieved. So think about who Bill Belichick is right now compared to who he was when he first got Tom Brady. Tom Brady forced on Bill Belichick as a sixth-rounder into the starting lineup because of the injury to Drew Bledsoe. And Tom Brady started to roll. The Patriots started to roll. Voila. Now you're here, and you have Stidham, who has a better talent base than the young Tom Brady, But now you have this confidence of knowing when Tom Brady wasn't in the lineup, what did our team do? Oh, we were 14-6 in terms of wins and losses. Matt Castle, 11 wins. Then you talk about Jimmy G and Jacoby Brissett, 3 wins, 1 loss. And now you're looking at Stidham, who is doing well in practice. And you watch Tom Brady in the game, miss a throw here, miss a throw there. We don't have the full intel of what Brady and Belichick are thinking. Hey, you're 4 steps late on that route right there, Tom. But when you go to practice, Stidham hits that same route. So I'm thinking quietly, behind closed doors, Bill Belichick is sitting there loving the fact that he has confidence in this roster he has right now, and they could go out there and win.
Yeah, the Patriot way is to reload before you have to rebuild. So when you're looking at what they're doing, people may have said they may struggle after they got rid of Ty Law or Lawyer Malloy, or you lose Teddy Bruschi, or, you know, you get rid of Darrelle Revis. Tom Brady, as Marcellus said, goes down with an injury. The Patriot way is to make sure you are staying ahead of the curve. So if it's Stidham that they're going to use next year, maybe we don't know what that is, but before they make their decisions, you best believe that they are aware of what their opportunity is and what exists as they're making those cut and ties with relationships from even the most celebrated players ever in the history of the game. So it's definitely a reload.
I disagree with both of you all, and it's for this reason. The Patriot way is 19, 20 years of Tom Brady. This is the first time we've seen the Patriots without Tom Brady. And this reminds me of one of my favorite movies. I know it's a movie you guys have seen, Colors. And Robert Duvall and Sean Penn, 2 cops in Los Angeles, and Robert Duvall walks Sean Penn over and tells him a story about running down a hill versus walking down a hill. And the old guy's like, no, let's walk down there and get them all. And so Tom Brady and Bill Belichick are sitting on a hill right now. Tom Brady's got 2 years left. He's trying to run down that hill and do as much as he can right now. Bill Belichick's like the old wise man. Man, I got 10, 15 more years of coaching. I ain't got to run down this hill. Tom Brady, let's say he goes out and has success in Tampa year 1, year 2. Who cares? I'm Bill Belichick. I have time on my side. I do believe that he's in a rebuild mindset. With his rebuild mindset, different than most, he can win 9 or 10 games in a rebuild and still sneak into the playoffs. Whereas other people, when they rebuild, that's winning 3, 4, 5, 6 games. I think Bill Belichick's in a rebuild mindset. Take his time, figure out who his quarterback is, see if they need to go out and get someone in next year's draft for Trevor Lawrence or whatever. I do believe they're rebuilding in New England.
Hey, Marcellus.
No.
Hey,
yeah,
Marcellus,
what's up?
I think, like Whitlock, Ronald Isley is advising Whitlock and Bill Belichick on how to handle that hill. That's what I personally believe.
No, you know what's crazy? What I just caught there is that we forget who Bill Belichick is in terms of his motivation. Like, he already played that card before where I got years in front of me. I could start slow. The whole Cleveland Brown experience, and then even in New England, first 6 years as a head coach, 5 losing seasons. I don't care what circumstance you're in. Bill Belichick is highly motivated to still be Bill Belichick. He left Bill Parcells in his shadow, didn't want to become the Jets coach because he wanted to prove who he was. And now that Tom Brady leaves, you think he's going to take a back seat and say, oh, let him think less of me. Let me perform less than I used to be. I'll make it up. This dude is highly competitive, like a culmination of all the egos on his roster. This dude ain't trying to take a step back to take 2 steps forward later. He's trying to keep pace with Brady, if not outpace Brady. But he has a different way of doing it, which is really holding those expectations in check, but still outperforming them. Watch Bill Belichick, man. He's sneaky. I think Stidham's going to ball.
All right. We got to get out of here. Darnell Smith is going to join us with the question of the day. Tom Brady's going on the Howard Stern show. That could be crazy.
Muscle pain? I'm talking stop in your tracks, I'll never work out again, oh my God, what am I going to do kind of pain? This is the kind of pain Dr. Jason Wersland was in when he created Theragun, the deep muscle massager that's unlike anything you've ever felt. Theragun isn't a cheap massager that just tickles your muscles. Our handheld percussive device uses a scientifically calibrated combination of speed, depth, and power to release the deepest muscle tension. It's this simple. Whether you want to treat your muscle tension from working out, an injury, or just everyday life, you can use Theragun. Theragun is the preferred muscle recovery device for over 250 professional sports teams and is used by hundreds of thousands of satisfied customers around the world to reduce pain, increase range of motion, and soothe aching muscles. Try Theragun risk-free for 30 days or your money back by going to Theragun.com/cadence. For a limited time, listeners who speak for yourself get a free charging stand with the purchase, a $79 value. That's Theragun.com/cadence. That's THERAGUN.com/cadence. CADENCE.
My question of the day.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself from the crib. Jason Whitlock, Marcellus Wiley. Speak for Yourself, presented by Hyundai. All right, time now for Darnell's question of the day. Darnell coming to us from his crib in downtown L.A. All right, take it away, homeboy.
Yes, sir. Let's move to Tom Brady, who didn't just move on from the Patriots. It looks like he's completely moving on from the Patriot way as well. The Bucs' new QB announced that he would be going on Howard Stern next week, tweeting out, quote, "Warm weather Tom lets loose." So I want to know, what does this tell you about the GOAT?
You know what? I think it says that we're about to see a different version of Tom Brady than we did in New England. Obviously, I just don't think this is something he would do if he were still a New England Patriot, go on the Howard Stern show. We're about to see a lot more of Tom Brady's personality. He may have twin goals here in mind in terms of let's go finish strong as a football player, but let's put more of my personality out here, and maybe I can transition into being a great broadcaster, a great endorser, spokesman like a Peyton Manning.
Yeah, it tells me that Tom Brady's like every other human being walking this planet. When you break up with somebody, it's time to hit them streets. And Tom Brady about to be out in them streets talking and sounding, looking a lot different than he did as a Patriot, doing it the Patriot way. One of the old adages about any relationship that ends is you spent half of that relationship actually breaking up. And it's interesting if you want to go back 7 years or so. And I remember marking this down, 2013, when TB12 was formed. And that all of a sudden established Tom Brady in a different light, even with the Patriots. You guys remember the story of Tom Brady losing his parking spot? Guys, remember the story of Alex Guerrero starting to lose some of his freedoms around the facility? Then they build the facility. Tom Brady starts copywriting things, selling T-shirts, going out on this branding campaign, having a Facebook reality show. Y'all, Tom Brady's been telling y'all he's trying to hit them streets, and now he has the freedom to do it. So TB12 is going to look a lot different and sound a lot different because now he has the freedom to do it.
You know what's interesting about this, Marcellus, is I think Tom's reputation has been he's kind of stiff. He doesn't have much of a personality. But then when you hear ex-teammates and current teammates talk about him, they speak with such great affinity. He and Julian Edelman, best friends. He and this guy, that guy. People, I think, love being around Tom Brady, which makes me think he has more of a personality than we've been giving him credit for. I kind of can't wait to hear this Howard Stern interview. I mean, I don't think it's going to be X-rated or anything, but it's going to be Howard Stern with Tom Brady. I don't think he's going to bomb and be terrible and run the risk of Howard Stern clowning him afterwards.
Exactly. No, I mean, people really, whatever you think in your head, you just look out there for confirmation bias to fill that in. So when he's a Patriot, we were looking at all the things that told us, oh, Tom Brady is walking in line and step with everything Bill Belichick says and does, which he did. But there were outliers. This dude had Antonio Brown live in his crib. Like, Antonio Brown, if I were on the team, I ain't letting Antonio live with me, and that's my dog. But hell no, you ain't living with me, especially if I'm Tom Brady with this type of image. I share a marketing agent with Tom Brady for many a years, so I can't blame the agent when I don't get the same deals as Tom Brady, because it's not on him, it's on me and my lack of having a brand. But Tom Brady is a personality, gets a lot of things thrown his way and injects a lot of personality into those things. But he used to prioritize the team atmosphere and winning the Patriot way. But you started to see him leak a lot of oil of late in terms of what he really wants to do, which is, I'm still about my business and the business of winning, but I also can enjoy this process. And I think that Tom Brady's going to have freedom of expression to now go out there and show us what he's really made of.
Let me ask you this, though. Anytime you go off brand and change up from what people's expectations of you are, there is a tiny bit of risk in that. And going to Tampa and playing for Bruce Arians and leaving the nest of Bill Belichick, and now perhaps a little tweaking of his personality, do you see any risk in this?
The only risk is if he doesn't win, like in anything else. This is the same thing that really suppresses all of us from being cocky, suppresses us from showing too much confidence, is that you can't map your mentality always on results. So you can change your approach, but what happens is fear kicks in, because what if this different approach doesn't give me the same results? So then you start to suppress it. So if Tom Brady goes out there and acts just like he did as a Patriot, but they lose, we got an issue with Tom Brady. But Tom Brady acts different and they win, then we're going to say, oh, look at this. This is full Tom Brady. So it really comes down to the win-loss column. But this is a guy who's been writing in his room, in his diary, for 7 years about one day escaping the stranglehold of the Patriot way in terms of image and in terms of expression. We'll see if he's as good, but at least he's going to be as real as he can be to himself.
Hey, before we go, could we pull the 3-box up and show Darnell as well? Because I think the viewers need to focus in on this. This is the first day where I really feel like I look better than both Darnell and Marcellus and have really established myself as the most fit person on this show. I think viewers would have to agree with that. I may go shirtless next week just to, to join hands with Cam Newton and others. I may go shirtless next week. I look very good today. Thank you very much.
Don't you dare. Hey, get Darnell some art while we at it.
Yeah, Rick Bucher will join us. We're going to talk about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. All right, welcome back to Speak for Yourself from the Crib. Jason Whitlock, Marcellus Wiley. All right, let's go out to the Bay Area. And Rick Bucher, let's go to his crib as we transition to a ESPN story about Michael Jordan being selected as the greatest player in college basketball history by a vote of fans on ESPN.com. He received this award over Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Kareem tweeted out LMAO, laughing my butt off at this because it is a joke. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 3-time NCAA champion, 3-time NCAA tournament most outstanding player, 2-time AP player of the year, inaugural Naismith player of the year. He lost 2 games in 3 years at UCLA. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, in my opinion, the most disrespected basketball player, maybe athlete of all time. He's got an argument to be the greatest player in NBA history. He's certainly the greatest player in college basketball history. Marcellus, get us rolling here. Why is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar so disrespected?
Man, knowing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as I have for the last decade intimately, I would say this. He has this cocktail of being a genius, being aloof, and I have to go into that before I give you the cherry on top, which really makes him most disrespected athlete of all time. His genius is such that when you talk to him, you realize, oh, I better step my game up. I better go deep into these pages of whatever I'm discussing because Kareem is an intelligent young man. Now, let's talk about who he is in terms of being aloof. He doesn't really care if you don't care about what he's thinking or you don't care to agree with him. So that's really important to know that someone just says something and they're not trying to move you as much as just trying to enlighten you. But the cherry on top is that he did all of his greatest work, the peak of his powers, as a teammate of the most likable player ever, Magic Johnson. And I think that's where it really went wrong for Kareem because he didn't invest his time and energy trying to recover any relationships that he may have lost throughout the process of being on the Lakers. Meanwhile, Magic was doing nothing but trying to keep these relationships going and fostering great goodwill in the community and with others. So it's just that combination, man. It's unfortunate, but his genius and his distance on top of being with the most likable player ever really makes people kind of stand off from Kareem and his greatness.
Yeah, the number one thing for me is there's a certain amount of recency bias, but that you can't trust anything when it comes to the internet and people who are voting on ESPN. It's one outlet. So to suggest that that is a reflection, a true reflection of where anybody stands historically, I think is an error. Marcellus makes a lot of great points. I firsthand know what a prickly personality Kareem was when he was playing. And look, pictures are more powerful than words, and video is more powerful than pictures. And we essentially, you're not seeing a whole lot of video of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, certainly at the height of his powers when he was playing at UCLA. And so the Michael Jordan, not only that you see in college, but being colored by what he did as a pro, all of that is going to influence the voting here. But if we really look at it wholeheartedly at who had the better college career, who was the better college player, it's not even close. But I think that this is a reflection of the voting process and who is voting as opposed to even the personality of Kareem. I think that was a factor. He played at a time where he was a bit of a social justice warrior, and that was a brand new thing. And his message had to be carried by what was predominantly white male reporters. Let's face it, he didn't get along with them. He didn't look to cultivate those relationships. Those would be the guys that would be speaking for him now. And I dare say you don't have a whole lot of them doing that.
Yeah, I think we would be remiss if we also didn't mention his name was Lou Alcindor. He changed it to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. There is a bias, I believe, against Muslim people here in America. I don't think there was a lot of comfort, particularly at that time, with him being a Muslim. And so I think some of that plays a role. But most of this, because, again, the prickly personality, Bill Russell's got a prickly personality. Michael Jordan's got a bit of a prickly personality and is a bit aloof and those things. And trust me, Bill Russell, Bill Walton, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic, Larry Bird, to me, those guys all had more historic college careers. Where I really blame the media, though, is the way we leave Kareem out of the greatest NBA player discussion. And there's a lot of us 50 and older who know damn well Kareem Abdul-Jabbar there's some of us that believe, and I honestly do believe this, that Kareem is right there with Michael Jordan. 6-time NBA MVP. When we sit around and talk about who the best closer was in basketball, it ain't close. The sky hook and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and the reliability of that. You just toss the ball into this 7-footer, he drops that sky hook on you, or he kicks it out to someone else because he could make the right pass, or he would go to the free throw line after getting fouled. He shot over 70% from the free throw line. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the greatest closer in basketball history. And so I don't think we give Kareem his proper respect as an NBA player, the all-time leading scorer. Somehow, with all the championships, the MVP, somehow he can't get in that conversation, and that's on us.
Yeah, I think some of that, too, is that it's what Marcellus said. He played with Magic, and Magic gets the lion's share of credit for what those teams did, and we didn't see him in Milwaukee, right? It wasn't until he got to the Lakers that we really paid attention to him. And again, I will say that personality, next to Magic, one of the most beloved and gracious when it came to the media when they were playing, like it or not, those were factors.
Yeah, man, you nailed it. And it's not just limited to the internet. I'm glad we're highlighting that. It's media people. It's people who are purists of the sport still look at Kareem with disrespect and don't look at him in a proper lens. And just an example of this, Columbia, my alma mater, was in the hunt for a new head coach. And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who's from New York City, could not even land that gig because of this perception or misperception of how he relates to others, especially the young kids, 18 to 22-year-olds, who would have never seen Kareem play, obviously, and as we've stated, haven't seen enough highlights of Kareem to even give him the reverence necessary. So if Kareem can't get the Columbia job as a basketball coach, you know that stuff is not being looked at properly in terms of his greatness.
All right, thank you, Rick. We got to go. Uncle Jimmy's next. We'll have an approval rating on Bill Belichick. Rex Ryan, I'm sorry. All right, more Speak for Yourself after this. All right, welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Jason Whitlock, Marcellus Wiley. Time now for Uncle Jimmy and our approval rating on Rex Ryan. Uncle Jimmy coming from his crib. Who's your big dummy today? Be quick.
Big dummy of the day go to the person whoever said you can't get your grind on from the crib. I don't know what the hell wrong with you. Hey.
Oh, boy. All right, listen.
You can do what
Rex
you do,
Ryan
right?
called Amari Cooper Rex Ryan called Amari Cooper a turd. What's your reaction, Uncle Jimmy?
Hey, man. People's upset because Rex Ryan called Amari a turd, man. All right? They said it sound harsh. Hey, man, this is why they say that different floats different people's boats. And what's one man's turd can be called another man's fertilizer. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man, Rex is just out here giving his professional opinions based off of his personal preferences. You understand what I'm saying? See? You understand what I'm trying to say? Right? In other words, I'm trying to say, man, this is a man that like to suck other people's feet. This man's a toe sucker, right? He's a toe sucker. He got a foot fetish. And apparently, he just don't like Amari Cooper's footwork. Hey, and he done held this against Amari ever since he was at the combine because he wouldn't take his shoes off.
Oh, boy. All right, hey, listen. There's our votes on approval rating. Hopefully, we'll be back on Monday, and Uncle Jimmy will apologize.
No.